Now, I think as is probably obvious, not every project is suitable for every design professional. So let's look at a number of different ways that projects should be evaluated. Okay, evaluating projects should include, firstly, whether or not you can add value to the project during the planning, design, and construction phase. What's your firm's experience and expertise on this particular type of project? Secondly, you want to look at the geographical location of the project. Does the project meet your firm's goals with respect to geographic location? Does your firm have experience in this location, or are you trying to expand your practice in new areas? Do you have adequate staff to do that? Have you researched the local laws and codes? And this is even more important when you're considering doing international practices.
I'll jump in here for a minute, Judy. From an underwriting perspective, with the economic downturn, some of the things that we've seen, whether we're talking about firms practicing in other states or internationally, what we've seen is firms, you might be moving from your home state, looking for work in an adjacent state where there's more work, or internationally. You have to think about laws that might be different from your home state, or laws that may be different because you're moving out of the country internationally. Regarding working in unfamiliar states, for example, some of our states and even counties on the local level are more litigious places for design professionals than others. So it's important to do your homework before taking on a job in an unfamiliar jurisdiction. If you have a relationship with a CNA claims rep, for example, you can check with them or check with your broker because they're going to know the CNA claims rep in your area. One thing, for example, I know there's a lot of folks on the phone joining us from North Carolina. South Carolina, for example, has some counties. Anderson County is one of them, for example. Very unfriendly for design professionals in that particular county. Chip Alderson, James Alderson, goes by Chip sometimes, is the claims rep down there. You can give him a call and ask about doing business in some of the South Carolina jurisdictions in particular, a little unfriendly to our design professionals down there. So do keep that in mind when you're practicing and taking a job, for example, outside your state. Internationally, there are some international jurisdictions. There are instances where they may not accept our professional liability policy as is. They may require local insurance, or they may require an endorsement to our policy in order to accept our insurance coverage. On the flip side of that, however, there are instances where because you're practicing in a foreign country which is less litigious than our country, because as Americans we can tend to be a litigious bunch, unfortunately, we can actually give you credit on your insurance policy premium, and this is on your insurance application. It's question 3. We actually have a part of question 3 that's called international billings. You can reflect on that question, billings from international practice, and we can actually discount your premium for those services in other countries because, as I said, they tend to be less litigious than we Americans do. So keep those things in mind. Those billings, as I said, discounted, they can be discounted by as much as 60%. You just need to let us know what they are. But, this in the scheme of things, just do be aware that there can be some pros and cons, some good and bad, but do your homework.
Great points, Kathy. Thanks for adding that. Okay, looking back at the slides, some of the other things that you want to consider are the project type, and we'll go into a lot more detail about that in a moment. But, generally you want to look at, does the project meet your firm's goals with respect to the project type? Will this type of project be profitable? And probably one of the more important aspects is, what is the likelihood of disputes or problems with this type of project? And we'll certainly look at that a little further. And lastly, the possibility of enhanced reputation in future work. Will working on such a project enhance your firm's reputation, and what's the possibility that it will result in future work?